Hello everybody, my name is Rachel, and today we're going to find out how boring I am even when I am sinning. It's the 7 Deadly Sins tag. I was tagged to do this by Jane from Yes Miss Jane. I will link her video down below as well as the original creators video. I thought this was a new tag, but it's been around for almost 3 years, I think. I'm so behind. I'm so clueless. Let's get on with it. Question number 1 is greed. What is your most expensive book and what is your most inexpensive book? Inexpensive book is really easy to answer because I have a lot of free books. I have been given books, I have inherited books, and of course I get free library books, so I don't really have a specific one to show you for that. Expensive book is an interesting question though. I'm gonna stick with just books that I have bought with my own personal entertainment budget. And you guys are not gonna expect this one. If you predicted that I was gonna say this one, you must be freaking psychic. My most expensive book is Wayfinding in Architecture by Romedi Passini. It is literally about how people find their way through public spaces like malls. It's fascinating. And I ran across it because of university. In fact, I was researching wayfinding for my master's thesis. I read this book, I was in love with it, and even though I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be including that research in my thesis at all, I was really interested in it. So with my own money, I went out and I bought a copy of it. I lucked out and I found a relatively okay copy for about $80 online. The next question is Wrath. Which author do you have a love-hate relationship with? I have 2 authors that are extremely up or down for me though, and the first one is Arthur C. Clarke. I either am super meh about most of his books or I love his stuff. The other author, which I feel a bit more strongly about, is China Miéville, because Perdido Street Station broke me. Until I read Perdido Street Station, I was one of those people that if I picked up a book and I started reading it, I had to finish it. It didn't matter whether I liked it or I was enjoying it, I had to finish it. I didn't like Perdido Street Station. I didn't want to read it, but I made myself read it and I got very upset about it, and I swore to myself that if I finished that book, I would allow myself to DNF any book I wanted to in the future. But the weird thing about China Miéville is that I didn't stop. You would think that after such a weird experience with that book, maybe I wouldn't have pursued anything more. I tried Embassy Town. Couldn't get past the first 10 pages. I just, nope. But I didn't stop there. I kept going. And it's a good thing that I did, because I finally picked up The City and the City. This was one of my favorite books of 2013, and if you made me go around my personal library today and pick my top 10 books, this one would probably be in that list right now. I'm still quite in love with it. Next is Gluttony. What book have you deliciously devoured over and over again with no remorse whatsoever? I don't really like this question because it implies that I would be ashamed of or have remorse for a book that I love, which is absolutely not the case. The 2 books that I have reread the most times are Dragon Song by Anne McCaffrey. The only criticism I think that I could ever come up with this book is that the main character mentally is a little bit of a Mary Sue. But I don't read this book because it's mentally challenging or it's difficult subject matter. I read it because it's a pleasant story about a girl who gets good things. The other one is Wild Magic by Tamara Pierce. A talented, intelligent young woman rejected by society is accepted by a new kind of family, and she blossoms in that environment. Wow, these 2 books are really similar. Sloth. What book have you neglected reading due to laziness? Based on the last tag video that I did where I mentioned the book that I haven't read for 9 years, you might think that I would pick this one again, but no. My real answer to this question is a completely different book. Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I am too lazy to read this book. Pride. What book do you most talk about in order to sound like a very intellectual reader? I mean, other people may disagree with me, but I really don't feel like I go around trying to sound like a very intellectual reader. If I had to pick a book, though, if I was trying to impress somebody by like name dropping a book, I know which one it would be, though. The Tenet of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, because it's a Bronte novel that not a lot of people have read, and the fact that I actually enjoyed it, yeah. Lust. What attributes do you find most attractive in male or female characters? Given that the way this question is phrased, I'm gonna guess that the original intent was to talk about like how characters actually look and like whether you have naughty thoughts about them or not. And I'm gonna skip over that because I don't have naughty thoughts about people in general, and I certainly don't have them about fictional characters. They're fictional. I really like reading about characters that are intelligent, they're clever, quick thinking, witty, humorous, and especially with female characters, I like them when they are independent, single, and rejecting other people's advances, because I get really tired of all the women in books getting shoehorned into romances and love triangles and even just plain old relationships. It's completely unnecessary a lot of the time. And the final question is envy. What books would you most like to receive as a gift? Box sets. The really, really pretty new editions of books that I already own, and I have zero justification to go buy more copies of them. There's a new gorgeous looking box set of the Lioness Quartet, the Alana books by Tamara Pierce, and I don't own matching copies of that series, which is why I have serious envy when I see people who do have the matching copies. And I would really like to have a 3-volume set of The Lord of the Rings, mostly actually for practical purposes. I have a beautiful edition of The Lord of the Rings, but I'm afraid to read it again because I know I'll break the spine, and I really don't want to break the spine on it. It's such a nice book. It would be more practical to have a 3-volume set where I could carry around a smaller book with me while I was rereading them. I think that if there is any book I could possibly own multiple copies of and feel completely justified, it would be The Lord of the Rings. That was a 7 Deadly Sins tag. I am not going to tag anyone this time because I'm not entirely sure who has been tagged to do this yet. It seems like a lot of people that I know have already been tagged, so I'm not gonna bother. But if you haven't been tagged and you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. So that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you again later. Bye!